Hi folks, I'm Bob Dotson. Think of what you pass by every day but don't see. What we know about America mostly comes from journalists who travel in herds, trailing politicians or camped out at big stories, pouncing on problems to repeat over and over again. I've spent a lifetime looking behind the media mirror that reflects celebrity and power, listening carefully to people who are practically invisible, the ones who are quietly solving problems we all face. They are the most underreported segment of our society, those seemingly ordinary people. Oh, we talk to them if they lose their home in a hurricane, or if we want a feel-good feature story. But I decided to give them the same investigative scrutiny as I would the mayor, because we need to know what they have learned. It's endlessly surprising. Tools for some of the first microsurgeries were invented in a garage. An out-of-work truck driver tinkered and perfected them until they changed our world. It all seemed as easy to Jimmy Crudup as wiring his old car. Wisdom doesn't always wear a suit. For 40 years, I bounced down back roads crisscrossing the country more than 4 million miles, a quest that began after I found some old film stuffed into a crawl space between the ceiling and the roof of my first office. It was shot in the 1920s by a photographer named Benny Kent. He saved his images that bosses did not want, pictures of women wearing more than bathing suits, Native Americans running oil companies, and entire towns built and governed by freed slaves who had been excluded from white communities. Eventually, these stories slid into the shadows and disappeared. Memory is too fragile a thread from which to hang history. Looking at what Benny Kent thought was important enough to save, I began to realize how much of our American story is disregarded. Tales told only if someone bothers to rescue them. That's why it's so important to preserve media history. When grandkids know our stories, they begin to see not just how we differ, but what we have in common. The shortest distance between two generations is a good story. Doesn't matter if dreams soar or shatter. Nothing is more American than optimism that overcomes hardship. That spirit is the reason this country survives, despite our well-documented and oft-repeated shortcomings. The real story of America is people inspired by a common dream who band together to overcome great odds. Some live their lives with extraordinary passion. They don't make headlines. They make a difference. Working in media is a bit like riding on smoke. After a brief mention, what we did will drift away. But the lessons we learned will linger if they are preserved. Do what you can, my friends.